Howdy y'all, and welcome back to KT's Kitchen Corner. I know it's been a long time since I've done one of these videos, not as part of a cup of cheer video, but I've been experimenting with some new recipes, as I'm sure plenty of other people around the world have been doing lately, probably for a different reason than most. And well, I found a few that I really like that are fairly simple. This is one of the easiest, and I wanted to try to share it with you. It's been hard to find good enough days, healthy enough days to really do filming, but today is a good day, so here we go. Let's get started, shall we? Today's recipe is something in my house we tend to call muffins, just because we don't really know what to call them, but for the sake of this video, I will call them biscuit rolls, because that's probably the best description of what these are. Kind of a combination between a biscuit and a roll. That would be my oven telling me that it is preheated. So what is a biscuit roll? First of all, for anyone out there with allergies, it is gluten-free, dairy-free, tropical oil-free. You can also check and find out that this has very little, if no, sugar, depending on what combination of things that you use. You could probably add some butter, sugar, whatever, if you want to, but this is how we make it. No dairy because we're allergic. I will say though that there are some eggs, even though it's not within the ingredients that you see here. And I'll get back to that in a second. So here is what you need. Pretty simple. Whatever milk you use, we use almond milk. Baking powder. Mayonnaise. This is not sponsored, but we are using Best Food olive oil mayonnaise dressing. This is where your eggs are going to be. So just watch out for that if you need to be egg free. I really like dill weed, so we added this to the recipe. Salt. Sea salt is what we use. And we also added Italian seasoning because the original recipe did not really have that in it. So I'm going to just take you through this. We found this recipe online probably about 1.5 years ago, and they called them dinner rolls. My mom made them exactly according to the recipe, and let's just say it didn't turn out very well. It wasn't awful, but it needed some help. So we've modified it, and I will try to put the recipe as we have done it down below. I do not think these taste a lot like dinner rolls, as you would expect them to be, which is why I call them biscuit rolls. All right. Oh, shoot, I forgot to get a bowl out. Here we go. I am doing a double batch today because as a family of 3, a double batch will make you about 12, and well, we go through them pretty quickly. So if you are a single person, there is a way to like half this or make it a single batch for yourself. But again, I'm making double batch because I'm not one person. We have a family of 3. So here we go. In the case of a double batch, I am using 2 cups of flour. Now, first of all, I am mixing my dry ingredients first. I find it just makes it easier to make sure that they can all combine together well. You might find different information about that on different baking shows that know way more about baking than I do, but this is just from my personal experience. I find things feel a lot more mixed together better when I do my dry ingredients first. So there's 1 cup. Well, it's a little bit of a heaping cup, so do a little less than a cup for the second cup. Since I don't have much flour left in this bag, I'm just going to pour it straight in. Oh, before I get ahead of myself, since I'm going to need to open this anyways, anyone wondering what kind of flour we use for this? This is the King Arthur Baking Company gluten-free all-purpose flour. So if you're trying to make this exact recipe, that's what we're using. Again, not sponsored. I just, like to help other people with allergies out. Or my friends who want to make me things. If you're wondering what I use, there you go. Okay, just under a cup because I used kind of a heaping cup for the first one. So there we go. 2 cups flour. For us, it's all-purpose gluten-free flour. 1 teaspoon. So for the double batch, I'm using 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now be very careful with this because as someone who's kind of a novice about the difference between baking soda and baking powder, don't get them mixed up. This recipe calls specifically for baking powder. So 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1. I know that there's a much easier way to do that. Okay, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. 1 teaspoon of salt. Again, this is for the double batch. I know I might be saying that way too much for some people, but I want to make sure that nobody gets confused. I will try to write this out at the bottom for you. Now I'm doing approximately, we like our herbs in this because it gives it really that flavor and then you're not just left with a bunch of doughy feeling. So I kind of do a heaping teaspoon of Italian herbs. Oh, I'll just do a little bit more. Maybe like a teaspoon and a half. Italian seasoning. We use the Perfect Pinch Italian seasoning from McCormick. Again, not sponsored, just telling you exactly what we use. And then dill weed. Again, about a heaping to teaspoon and a half, somewhere in there. Because I like my seasoning. And it's yummy. All right, so let me close all these things up. I read recently that dill herb, can actually be good for the stomach and digestive system, and since I've always had some trouble with that, I have been attempting to add a little bit more dill into my diet. I'm not a big like whole earth and let's find everything that makes everything happy kind of person, but hey, if it's an easy thing to incorporate into my diet and I'm not allergic to it, yay, let's try it. And it has seemed to make a bit of a difference, so I'm a little generous with the dill when it comes to this recipe. All right, so now I have mixed all of that together for a happy, dry recipe, or dry ingredients mix. Now let's add some wet ingredients. All right, I'm gonna make sure that all of that powder is out of there. Let's see, what is next? 2 cups flour for a double batch. So, I'm sorry. Milk, I'm not doing flour here. Calls for a half a cup if you're doing a single batch. So 1 cup of milk. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. I'm going to do just a bit more because I want it to be an accurate cup. There we go. 1 cup for a double batch. My bad. And then we will do mayonnaise. 2 tablespoons. For a single batch, 4 tablespoons for a double batch. Since I'm doing a double batch, 4. Now I will very readily admit I am not really a mayonnaise person. It kind of grosses me out, if I'm honest. Never have liked it in my sandwich, but I did used to like it a lot with artichokes growing up. I cannot, however, handle mayonnaise on its own anymore, which is sad because I like it with my artichokes. But I have found no problem with eating it in this recipe. I'm having a hard time scooping that out. Why? Why? Okay, that was 2. This is 3. I do not like the feeling of mayonnaise on my hands. See, folks, I am not a perfect individual. Yeah. That was 3. Let's Let's see if I got 4 in here, because I hate wasting. Yeah, exactly 4 tablespoons in this jar of mayonnaise. Now, if your mixture feels a little bit dry or a little bit wet, we have found this turns out very differently depending on the moisture in the air. Pardon me a second. I really want to get that off my fingers. So what you can do is you can mix this all together with the amount that you see on there or just under, and just see what you are dealing with in the texture. And if it's a little bit too dry, add a little bit more mayonnaise. And my light just turned off. That was fun. I don't know why it does that. And go from there. I don't know how to take away any moisture, but I can tell you, if you are feeling like it is a dry mixture after you have mixed it all together, add just a smidge more mayonnaise, and that can give it a little bit more moisture for you. Whew. It's personally one of the hardest parts for me. Yes, I'm on my tippy toes. Why did the song for the Wicked Witch of the West just come into my head? I don't know. I hum and ditty random things when I'm in the kitchen. All right. Nope, that's not all mixed together. Just when you think it's mixed, maybe cut through with your spatula or whatever, just to make sure that you get even inside the middle that might be a little bit dry. Might still have a little bit of your dry mixture in it, which is what mine just had. Ooh, that's a workout. Okay. And there we go. We have biscuit dough mix. Okay, I'm going to see if I can show you this. It's very bread dough-like. If you know what bread dough is like, you're going for that kind of consistency. Let me see if I can spooch. Spooch? I don't know what that word was supposed to be. Scoop some up for you and show you a little how it falls. So that's kind of the consistency you're going for. Fairly, like not sticky that it like is disgusting to do, but kind of on the sticky side. Maybe you wanted a little bit more moisture, again, just add a little bit more mayonnaise. But for me, I feel this is a pretty good consistency for what I want to go for. Now, I've already preheated my oven. For my oven at this point, I used 360 because my oven is kind of crazy, but it calls for 350 degrees. Know your oven temperature. Our oven has always been a little, how shall we put it, inaccurate. So we actually used a thermometer to find out why things weren't baking properly, and we found that our oven is off by about 10 degrees. So when you get a new oven, check out with oven thermometers. They actually have some that are made specifically to put in your oven and check the internal temperature. That way you'll get a better idea of why things might be cooking properly or improperly, because you don't want your meats to be improperly cooked. All right, so now, oops, I forgot my pan spray. Whoa. I personally use Pam Purely Olive Oil Spray because we're allergic to coconut and palm oil in this house, so it's just a really good spray. I need to go off camera for a second. Hold on, please. Okay, I have sprayed inside all of the holes. I'm going to just clean up any excess spray because you don't want any burning. Don't want to create a fire hazard, you know, just don't. All right, Let me move these things a little bit out of my way here. Put that down. I'm gonna fill my muffin tin. Move this. I have a place to do this. All right, well, while I'm waiting to do all this, I will be talkative again. So many people lately have found themselves needing to try new recipes because a lot of places have been closed and really what else to do with their time. In my family, hasn't quite been that because we've dealt with that a lot in our life and had to cook from home. But I've had some health issues happen in this last year and a half. And one of the things that was suggested was trying new things for my diet to see if that might help. And honestly, some markets weren't carrying some of the ingredients we needed for our things that we would bake at home. So we've had to get a little more creative this last year. And that's where we've come up with some of the new things to try. Okay, this is a little drier than I usually make it. So, up to you guys. What is something that you have tried making in this last year that you might have not expected to try to make? I've had some friends tell me that they actually made biscotti. That was interesting to hear. Sourdough bread has been a pretty popular one. Some friends have actually done homemade pizza dough and homemade pasta, noodles. I have not gotten to do, I've not done that yet. All right, so I made a little less than it normally does. I think it could have been a little more moist. Sorry for those that hate that word. Don't have a better description for that. All right, so I'm going to use my paper towel that I already used to clean up the outside of the muffin tin and other areas. I'm going to clean out the 2 that are left because I was expecting to use all 12 and I don't have enough dough to go around for 12. Again, remember, you don't want to fire. All right. Throw that out. So there you are. 10 biscuit rolls. I'm going to put it in the oven now. I do about the top to middle rack. That way it's a little more evenly distributed. If you have convection, just kind of get to know your oven, I guess. You might want to use that. I have never found convection on our oven to help. And this says to put it in for 15 minutes. I disagree with that. We tend to go for about 25 minutes to cook, bake, whatever you prefer the terminology for. So there you go. Now, what to expect out of this when it comes out of the oven. When it comes out, I tend to find it's pretty fluffy and really nice texture in the mouth. But if you don't eat them within like the first day or 48 hours, they can be kind of, well, how shall I put it, hard as a rock. So this is why you really want to know how much you need for your family size, because you probably don't want these to have been baked and then leave aside for 2 or 3 days later. But they are really good the first day. Also, they're really good with dips. I really like them with a little bit of Classico tomato sauce, usually used for my pasta. I am sure if I was able to eat butter that this would taste amazing with butter. My mom has eaten it with jams or jellies and they were really good. So it's a pretty versatile thing, even with the seasonings. It can taste good with a lot of stuff. Now, it can be a fairly bland taste. That's why I really like having some Italian herbs and dill also because it tastes good and also for my abdomen. So yeah, I'll see you in a few minutes when this is done, but through the magic of YouTube, it'll probably only be a couple seconds. Okay, so it has been roughly 25 minutes and I'm about to check on our biscuit rolls. Whee! And of course, when you have glasses, you always get that fog, because that's life. All right, I'm gonna take these out, and I'll show you how to check them. Now, if you're going for rolls that have a lovely brown finish on top, these are not them. I've never been able to find these done with a golden finish on top. It will always look pretty similar to how you put them in, except a little bit higher. So how do you check these then? Well, there will be a slight difference on the bottom. Here's how I check. I take a fork or any other utensil that won't cause you to burn yourself by touching it, and stick it in about the side area of the muffin. Here, I'll show you what I'm doing. Do this, stick it to about right next to it, let it flip over a bit so you can check the bottom. That's where you're going to have some more of your golden brown color. It's still not going to be golden, it's just going to be slightly different color than the rest of your biscuit roll. You also can check and hear how it thumps. I'm going to just tap the tops too to see if they deflate too much. I still think this needs another like 3 to 5 minutes for my taste. I really like to cook my things. I will admit that if you are watching my videos to learn how to cook or bake, I like things to be well cooked, and some might say almost overcooked. I just, for texture's sake, I really like a little bit of a crunch to things, not burnt, just a little crunch. So if you are someone who likes things softer, some might even call it moist, or I don't know, then I would say go a little under what you see me cook, time-wise. So yeah, for you and your family, that might have felt done. For me and my taste, I like it just a little bit more cooked. It's very easy to get them out with just a spray of olive oil. That's all that was in it. Here you go. Finished product. I hope you can see it well. See, it's a little pale. That's to be expected, with just slightly different color on the bottom. That's what you're going for. Nice and herby and tasty and crisp on the outside, very soft on the inside for only about the first day. Really good with some dipping in marinara sauce. Possibly even some butter if you're not allergic to it, like I am. Oh well, I'm not bitter about that at all. I hope you and yours are doing well, staying safe, and feeling God's blessings in all of your days. From me and mine to you and yours, this is not a Christmas time, but I do hope you are safe and blessed. God bless y'all. Ciao for now. Bye.